Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review, episode number 91. This I'm reviewing the 92nd episode of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, A New Routine. This episode is the aftermath and consequences episode of the stupidly long arc that lasted for 5 months. A title which I'm still confused exactly what the heck the name of the title was for the last arc, because it was supposed to be the Mitsuki arc, which ended up being the Coup arc or whatever. I call it the stupidly long arc because of how much filler stuff they had to throw in that stupid arc. This one starts off with Team 7, Team 40, Team 10, and I believe it's Team 14. I believe that's not Team Hanabi's team, which we have Sasumori and two of her closest friends, all take a train to ride home. So, of course, Mitsuki is a different car with Sai and Konohamaru. Yes. And Sai does get a lot of stuff to do with it. He gets a lot of dialogue for this episode, which is actually quite interesting. I love the fact he does that. And of course, Naruto himself had stayed behind with the other four Kage to attend the funeral of Okanai. We also see Siki, the Hidden Stone Shinobi, who popped up roughly in 3 episodes of this arc. Yeah, for 3 episodes. One was the Heart of Stone episode. The other, of course, was the last 2 episodes of this most recent arc. He was an okay character. I had no problem with him at all. Yeah, he shows up briefly. We also see the old man who did pop up for 1 episode, who's a big fan of Okanai. Nice to see him show up as a sort of a connection to his one-shot appearance. And then, of course, later on, we see Naruto back in the village. Somebody got back really quickly. My guess is he must have gone the key before and run really, really fast. That is my honest opinion, because I don't think he took the train back, because even Shikahamaru was like, man, you got back quickly. And, of course, he wanted to give them praise for their actions, but they had to be punished. So, their punishments, Mitsuki does not get much of punishment at all. Well, in the case of Mitsuki, Sadara, and Boruto, they get stripped of the Genin rank. This lasts for just the entirety of the episode. Yeah, they just walk about. Then of course, after they get stripped of their rank, they go to like the place that they've gone to a couple times in the series. This little walk area, kind of like a boardwalk inside the city. They gone to this place roughly a couple times in the series. The last time I can think of they did this was actually during the Chunin exam arc, where they discussed like it was just last time it was the entirety of Team 7 minus Konohamaru. This time it's just Boruto and Sakura just talking. And then Boruto goes home and just has a little thing with Gorgana. And they end their summoning contract. And then Sadara gets to his bedroom like, okay, when the heck should she get there? Yeah, even Boruto's like, hey, what are you doing here in my bedroom? As far as I know, this is the first time she's ever been inside his bedroom at all. Because the only characters who've been inside this room who is not member of the Uzumaki family have been just, off the top of my head, it would be just Mitsuki. I believe that Dekai's been here. Pretty much most of the male characters have been in this particular room. The only female character, Sadara, is the first female character who's not a blood relative, who's not Boruto's mother or his sister, who's been inside of his room. And I love that when Boruto gets home in this episode, the first person he sees is his little sister, who he's very fond of. And she just hugs him, and then Hanada shows up, gets big hugs. And then, of course, we see Sadara go home, and she reunites with her mother. And, of course, while on the train ride, I forgot to mention that they mentioned that apparently they're going to get, like, a earful from Mogi. Yeah, that's going to be something. For a woman who is supposed to be a ninja, and she has high heels instead of having, like, regular boots, like all the rest of them do. Yeah, I don't know why. And of course, I love Kuroshi's speech where Okanai was right. We should focus on getting the youth like up to date, have developed them a little bit more. Even she was wrong. Of course, she pops us toward the end of the episode where she wanted to give praise Team 7 for their actions. Excuse me. And that's what causes Naruto like, okay, we'll get him back to Genin rank because they've been punished long enough. Yeah. For like a day, they were still with the Genin rank, which is so interesting. And as for Team Udon and Team Hanabi, They don't do anything in this episode. You see him briefly on the train for a couple of brief moments, and that's it. In the case of Team Udon, you have Dekai who's asleep. Dekai, I think it's like Dekai and Metal Lee are asleep, and Wambi just stares at the window, and it looks like that Team Hanabi just briefly talk to each other with no audible dialogue. Team 7, not Team, well, basically Team 10, it's like Team 10, has a brief conversation on the train. It's a good thing, and of course they have a little mentioning of the little Akanu that Inogen just became briefly friends with. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I'm trying to cover like a lot of this stuff because a lot of stuff they cover this whole episode. Not much for action, like a lot of exposition and a lot of resolution to this particular arc. A boatload of it. Yep. And of course, Boruto. The reason why Naruto had to shift in the ring because he wanted to keep face with the advisors, despite the fact these two senior citizens really should be retired as advisors because their advice is terrible. And yet these people have been advisors for years, decades. And yet somehow these two are still in power, despite the fact that I think Naruto knows not to get advice from these two because even he knows the reason why he hasn't taken advice from these two. And the reason is because the last Hokage took advice from them, the Uchiha clan was massacred. Yep. I think that because he kind of knew the reasoning behind the massacre and the fact that they're kind of indirectly responsible for that. That's why he doesn't take advice from them. He basically keeps them informed a lot of the stuff that goes on, but he doesn't take advice from them at all because even he knows he's not that stupid. Yes. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. It's nice to see Sakura appear in the episode, even for a brief moment. And seeing Hinata, like I said, Hinata was nice to see her brief cameo. Konohamaru, I like that he gets a lot of dialogue in this episode, which is kind of nice for him. And Karasuchi comes with her grandfather's former bodyguard. Yeah, this was only like his second appearance in the episode, and at least he's still in his sling, though he doesn't carry the pitcher, obviously. And she came to the village because she wanted a person to thank the getting team. I don't know if she ever actually did, because like next time you see, because the next scene you cut to, like Rafter says that he want to thank him, that Team 7's restored perfectly normal. Yeah, I'm sure the advisor's not going to be happy with that. Yeah, I'm sure they're not going to be happy with that at all. This overall was a really good episode. Probably the best episode written in quite some time. For an episode that's basically a slowdown episode, and just resolution and kind of mentioning stuff throughout the previous arc, that was quite nice. Despite the fact a lot of stuff happening in the previous arc was really stupid, and the fact that it took toward the end of time for something to happen. This episode felt like very little consequence, though referencing stuff and resolution to some of the plots. And the Mitsuke stuff is handled really well in this episode. Like, he's interrogated for a good period of time, and then he is next scene at a gravesite burying something. It could be a snake. Yeah, and apparently Boruto does say his apology. I don't know if I don't think he says apology for hitting him with the lightning jutsu. I do not know if he accepts apology for that. But yeah, he and Mitsuki are still good friends. They repaired their friendship, and Sadara is perfectly fine with it. And of course, later on, next scene, they're on top of the Hokage Mount, and they're about to go on a mission and discuss their strategy. Yeah. So there's that. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? No, there really isn't. Though next week's episode, I'm going to be very happy with this one because this is called the Parent and Child Day. Yes, and it looks like we're going to see a return of two characters. One, I can definitely tell she is coming back, and I'm so happy she's coming back. My third favorite character from this franchise, 10-10 comes back. Thank you, Gaui, bringing back this character. And something outside of the tuning exam arc, because prior to the tuning exam arc, she's probably the only character who was part of the previous generation of the Hidden Elite 12 who did not make a physical appearance in this very series, and finally she shows up, though it was in the tuning exam stuff. And this is her first appearance outside of that arc, which I'm so happy with that. It also looks like that Kiba is going to show up with, looks like Akamaru, who is still alive somehow. Yeah, it looks like I guess to see a little dog, so it's probably Akamaru. And it looks, if I'm looking at the way you see the back of this guy's head, it's definitely Kiba. Yeah, first time in a while Kiba showed up. I think the last time I saw Kiba was probably during the Byakuya gang arc. Yeah, last time I could think of that I've seen this guy, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next week's episode. And apparently, it's like the way it's set up is it's a new holiday. Apparently, Naruto set up the parent-child day. Like, and it kind of looks like that Naruto's hanging out with Himari. That's gonna be something. So I am definitely looking forward to next week's episode because why not? It's a good standalone episode. This episode does feel like a standalone episode, but feels like a epilogue episode for the ridiculous arc. And next week's episode will be the first one since August that have nothing to do with this arc at all. So yeah, so that's really it for this particular review. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be my last video for today, which will be a Comic Corner, which will be on a Marvel trade and a kind of DC trade. Okay? But you'll find what they are in my next review, okay? But to see you there. Bye.